Hello, everybody. Welcome to, well, it's Monday afternoon. I wanted to jump on here because I've had this conversation numerous times today. I don't know about you, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening in the world. There's a lot happening. Well, I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things. I have a lot of feelings about a lot of things. And because of that, I have been feeling things build up in me. Sometimes I feel like my emotions want to burst out. I find myself angry and aggravated and irritated, annoyed at times. And I'm also finding myself excited, but then also just in tears at times because there's so much going on. And one of the things that I am reminded about is that when we are stressed, when we're feeling overwhelmed, when there's a lot going on, that it's easier to get in that state of what I call my shitstorm. It's easier to get up in my head. It's easier to be pulled in and get caught up in things I don't want to get caught up in. Things that are not healthy, things that are not good for me, things that are not supportive of me. And so I'm saying this because I want to share this reminder. Now, it's been a while since I've talked about this, and if Danielle were to jump on here, I'm sure that she would probably giggle and share that I used to talk about this all the time, and I just haven't in a while. And that is, and I'm pulling it up right now, the benefit and the importance of setting alarms on our phone. And why do we set these alarms on their phone? Now, you might have, a Fitbit or something that you wear on your wrist. And I know from those who have them, I do not, that it can remind you to breathe, especially if it senses that you're not breathing. And if you're here, feel free to say hello. Feel free to let me know that you're here. And of course, ask questions. Share your comments and your thoughts. And with that said, how many of you are feeling not just what might be going on in your own home, in your own work environments, but you might also be feeling what's going on in your community, in the world, the trauma, the turmoil. Again, lots of stuff. So I want you to set an alarm. It's not enough for those of you who do have Fitbits and these other wrist devices that remind you to breathe, especially if you're not breathing, especially if you're not stopping and taking the time to breathe. Why is this so important? Well, one, when was the last time you checked in with yourself, that you asked how you're doing? I know for many of us during this time of COVID, we've been reaching out to maybe people who live alone, people who maybe are in immunocompromised conditions. And we're offering our support, we're offering our help, we're checking in to make sure they're doing okay. But when was the last time you checked in to see if you were doing okay? We need to be doing that on a daily basis. If you saw a friend or a family member on any given day when you go into work, isn't it standard that we say, hey, how are you doing? But it's not standard for most of us, or at least it hasn't been, to ask how we're doing. And that's what the alarm on my phone gets set for. It gets set so I stop and check in with me. And I'm sharing this because, again, I've had this conversation more than once today. And I just got off a client call, and they were like, well, I have a hard time reminding myself. I have a hard time following through. And that's the reason for the alarm on your phone. It's the reason to have that alert that says, oh, right, I've got to check in with me. Now, what does a check-in with me look like? It's like, oh, the alarm goes off on my phone. Now, I might recognize that before the alarm went off, I'm like, there's all kinds of things going on. I might realize that I've been stressed. I might realize that, oh, yeah, I was up in my head, partly because I've done this a long time. Now, maybe not. Maybe it's like, oh, all right, my alarm went off. It's time for me to breathe. So I'm going to stop what I'm doing. And this doesn't take long. So if you say you don't have time, I'm going to call bullshit. This is important. So stop. Take 3, 5, 10 deep breaths. And notice how things start to shift. Now, one of the things I consciously do is if my attention was here in my mind, because I've been thinking and figuring out and, caught up, I'm going to move that attention here to my center. Now, you can't see that. I'm pointing to my heart, my gut. I'm going to move to the center of who I am because I want my attention to go there, because that's where honesty, truth, love, where all the good stuff resides. And I say the good stuff because our mind can lie to us. Our mind can tell us shit, and we can't trust our mind. We are not our mind. We want to go here to the core. So, do those deep breaths and go to that center of who you are. And you may notice that you can literally feel things like kind of falling away. Your shoulders maybe even drop. You feel things open up. And when they do, I then want you to say, hey, Jen, of course, use your name. Good to see you. How you doing? And pay attention to what comes. And then I want you to say, what do you need in this moment? And maybe it's, I could use a few more deep breaths. Maybe it's, I could use to get up and walk or go outside. Or maybe it's get some water. Take a drink. Maybe it's scream or yell. Take a nap. Whatever it might be, if you can follow through immediately, please do. If you can't, then when can you put it in your schedule to follow through as soon as you can? Because if we're all up in our head, if we're all stressed and overwhelmed and there's stuff going on and we've got stuff to figure out and what do we take care of first, and there's so much going on in the world, we're in survival mode. We're in fight, flight, freeze. And we don't want to make decisions for our overall health and well-being, and certainly for our long-term health and well-being from that place. If we ask questions when we're in survival mode, if we're trying to figure things out when we're in survival mode, then we're going to get survival answers. I don't know about you. I don't want to be surviving. I want to be living and thriving. So again, set the alarm on your phone or set time specifically on your Fitbit or what other device you might have. Don't just rely on when it tells you to breathe, because I know from talking to a lot of you, you ignore it. You look at it and you go, oh yeah, and you go right back to what you're doing. Now use this video, use this post as a place to check in and let me know how you're doing. Let me know how it was, how it feels to check in, to ask how you're doing, and to respond. It's key. And it's going to go a long way to support you being healthy, being happy, being joyful, to moving through your day with ease, to letting the stuff go that's not important, and to make really good decisions regarding you, your family, your business, fill in the blank. So let me know what you think. And again, use this post. It's one way that we can support ourselves and support each other. All right, everyone. I love you. I'm sending you lots of love, and of course, all things fucking fantastic. Till we connect again. Mwah.